Hey man, wanna hang out today?
Nah, I'm gonna be busy.
Oh, what's going on?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go spend the day with my dad.
Oh, I see. Well, how about after?
Yeah, then I'm gonna have to go to work.
Okay, well, what about tomorrow?
Yeah, nah, I'm gonna go home and build some lockpicks.
Your what?
Oh, for sleight of hand. Yeah, I'm learning sleight of hand.
Uh-huh. So what are you doing right now?
I'm with my girlfriend?
Uh-huh. Are you sure about that?
Yeah, sorry.
Dude.
You don't mind, do you?
Don't judge me. Life simulators. Games programmed to best mirror the mundane and simple lives of people that most people playing have probably experienced. And sometimes that's all the game is. Sometimes it's just farming, but most of the famous examples involve a whole swarm of gameplay mechanics. Sometimes you're a farmer who also delves into mines to fight monsters. Sometimes you're a mayor of a town, and sometimes you're a Japanese high school student tasked with preventing the end of the world with the power of friendship. Funny how that's the most generic one. There are a lot of these games for what seems like a really silly idea. Why would anyone want to play a game about the mundane happenings of a farm or school life? I suppose to their credit, the most famous examples like Stardew Valley or the Persona series normally have a tinge of supernatural, but the real heart of both these games is in the everyday gameplay. Managing crops and classes, going out and speaking with friends, and essentially role-playing as a person in this world. So why is this so interesting? Why do we keep coming back to these games, and what makes them so addicting? Well, to understand that, I'll use Stardew Valley and Persona 5, as they're both games that I love, and I think really capture the essence of what makes these day-to-day life simulators so spectacular. And that essence being almost the weirdest form of escapism is that you get to play the best version of yourself. Stardew Valley, a story about a city person leaving a Pelican town to escape the corporate-looted world they come from. Working for an Orwellian-style company, Joja, they're burnt out and tired, but luckily their grandpa gifted them a letter and deed to his faraway farm where they can escape their cruel, harsh reality. And so they leave and head to Stardew Valley, where the game begins and you can live out the rest of your life fixing and tending to the land as you see fit. So essentially, your avatar left their real world to live out their fantasy of working the land. Does this sound familiar? It should, because that's basically what you did when you decided to buy and play Stardew Valley. But that might seem obvious, right? Like video games have long been understood as a source of escapism, to distract us from our real problems. And this is true, but I think there's something extra clever happening with Stardew Valley. Because at the beginning of your time in Stardew Valley, your farm is an overgrown mess. There's rocks, bushes, and trees growing all over the place, and all you have is your cheap tools that can't even clear all the foliage, let alone you don't even have enough time and energy to do it all in one day. And then there's a whole town of people just waiting to meet you, each with their own backstory and gift preferences, and there's all the different types of crops, and a community center that needs building, and a mine full of monsters. There's so much that Stardew Valley hits you at just the beginning. And that's just the first season. It's really overwhelming, and reviewers took note of that. I've heard and read numerous reviews commenting about just how getting started in Stardew Valley is more stressful than most video games. And none of that sounds like escapism. We play video games to escape that stressful lifestyle full of chores and endless to-do lists. If I wanted to put up with all that, then I'd just go back to doing homework. Right? Well, no. The true game of Stardew Valley is finding a way to balance and work around this seemingly impossible schedule. And everyone I talk to seems to have found a different way of making it work, and each of them have kind of found their own system. And it's in that discovery that makes this game so relaxing and addictive. Yes, the initial drop is staggering and difficult, but eventually, you start to develop your own way to cope with it all. It strikes a very good balance between reality and fiction. Yes, the list of chores and people to meet is similar to real life, but the fiction part of it is that that's all there is to it. There's no unfair challenge in the game. It's not like being a real farmer where you have to worry about buyers and personal injuries, stuff that you couldn't even control if you wanted to. Here the game presents you with all the information at once, and navigating it when you've got your system feels amazing. Feel like you're the best multitasker in the world, somehow managing all your crops and barnyard animals to max efficiency while still having a gift for each townsperson that week and making sure your grandpa's proud. And you only get that relief and satisfaction because you were confronted with such a grueling beginning, because you took the time to understand and organize, so much so that it all just becomes relaxing. And a similar process happens in Persona 5, but instead of a farmer, you're a high school student. You, as a player, are thrown into a completely new world surrounded by a cast of characters you have to befriend, 5 stats you need to grow if you want to be a competent person, and need to make sure you drop the monthly big bad on time or else it's game over. It's the same process of shocking a player, then learning how to properly navigate the world of the game. The main difference here is that Persona doesn't have the farming mechanics and instead has the dungeon crawling RPG. Stardew Valley has the mines and combat, but it's not as intricate and plays very similar to the farming. And most notably, Persona has a stronger emphasis on building relationships with the supporting cast. Just like Stardew Valley teaching you how to micromanage, Persona helps teach the player the various ways to navigate interactions with other people. And these interactions aren't anything super novel. Sometimes it's just talking about going to the gym, talking about girls, or just how to get good grades. But that's kind of the charm of it. It might be a bit ironic that spending time away from real people to spend time with ones and zeros is a bit contrary to their whole point, but much like Stardew Valley, the simplicity of it is what makes it so appealing. Because human beings are complicated, talking and making friends can stress you out, so when a game like this comes out where you can get some instant gratification out of helping someone with their problems, it feels nice, and that simple relief might be what someone needs, especially for introverts who are the general audience for video games. I don't think it teaches you how to be the best kind of socialite, just like Stardew Valley doesn't teach you how to be a farmer, but I think the beauty of these life simulators is what I touched upon at the beginning. They allow you to transform into your better self. I don't think it's any coincidence that both of these games allow you to name the avatar whatever you want, most likely with the intention of you naming yourself after the protagonist. And that's because these games, while still fantastical in their own right, are mundane enough to allow you to see yourself as the protagonist. Unlike other games where the world and avatar are too fantastical for any level of projection, these games strike that perfect balance to allow you to find the satisfaction of just being yourself. Because what you're doing isn't anything magical. Persona 5, you're just talking and helping friends out with their problems. Stardew Valley, you're just balancing a schedule. It's simple, it's easy, and that's what makes it so satisfying. And they're so addicting because it feels so nice to live in a world where you have enough stimulus to keep you engaged, like Persona's dungeons and the next season, but not so much so that you can't overcome it. And if anything, it might serve as a reminder that as a person, you can overcome these daily struggles just by taking it one day at a time, which I think is a pretty cool theme to be strewn about these types of games. But that's all I got. Comment below some of your favorite day-to-day life simulators, and I'll maybe give them a play when I get around to them. Until then, thank you for sharing this with your friends, and I'll see you next time.